You can't live in Gaza right now, and I think we need another location. I think it should be a location that's going to make people happy. If we can get a beautiful area to resettle people permanently in nice homes and where they can be happy and not be shot, not be killed, not be knifed to death like what's happening in Gaza, I don't think people should be going back to Gaza.
Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left while the rebuilding was happening?
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return.
How many people are you thinking about?
Okay, so if you push past the buffoonish, clownish way that he talks, that's just an absolutely massive war, crime against humanity that he's describing there. I mean, that is casually discussing genocide in a way that I don't know before, as he sits there next to the guy responsible for the shooting and all of that he thinks these people need to flee, as he plans for an entire population to be taken against their will, their land utterly stolen, never to be returned, and then for them to be dumped somewhere. That was back in February. And lest you believe that, he was just being Trump, he was being silly, he wouldn't actually push for that, it's not really gonna happen. Well, it's happening, because Axios reports that Benjamin Netanyahu was in that video, has tasked Mossad with finding countries that would take in a huge volume of Palestinian refugees. Apparently, they have already spoken with Somalia and South Sudan, which I'm sure if you were to ask Trump, these nice places with nice houses, to make a list of countries, those are the first two that he would put on that list. Also Indonesia, and that's what they said. So where are they going to put the entire Palestinian population? Well, Africa, Southeast Asia, wherever, the moon, an incinerator, just get them the hell out of there. That's what the plan appears to be. And I haven't yet seen any reporting of any country saying that they would be willing to take in the better part of 1 million men, women, and children, Cenk, but do you have any ideas of whether they might get any takers?
Yeah, I'm super worried. I've heard rumors of another country as well, which I'll talk about in a little bit later in this segment. And then, look, I want to talk about their overall plan and how it's been their plan from day one. And at the end, I want to talk about, is there any hope for stopping this? It's a slim hope, but I want to talk about who can possibly stop it. But John, tell us more.
Yeah, I don't know that I even have that hope, but I would speculate that if it, I don't know, Saddam Hussein a couple decades ago that was saying, hey, in like a year, I'm gonna round up 1 million people and I'm gonna force them off their land. The UN would probably get involved. I imagine when Putin wants to forcefully relocate people, we've armed the resistance to that. Other countries have too. Is there a reason that this sort of planned, projected genocide is acceptable because it's Israel? That's not a rhetorical question, by the way. I am waiting to see the world actually do something to stop this, but thus far they're not. And so that's what Mossad is doing. Other parts of the Israeli government are working on different components of this genocide. So Israel's cabinet approved the formation of a special in the Ministry of Defense that will oversee and it's important that you know these are in quotation marks, willful departure of Palestinians from Gaza. All be willful. They're all fine with their land being stolen from them and then being dumped in some slum that they don't know anything about the place, anything about the language, whatever. That'll be it for them. By the way, the finance minister last month parliament and said, if we take out 10,000 a day, it will take 6 months. If we take out 5,000 a day, it will take a year, which is fine. It's a bit vague. We don't know. Are they going to march the 10,000 a day along some sort of trail as they steal their land and move them somewhere? Maybe they'll load the 10,000 a day onto trains or something and ship them off. I don't know. It's a lot of people. They're going to have to figure out how you do this sort of industrial relocation. But apparently they are working for it in multiple aspects of their government. So that's currently what we know.
One of our members on TYT.com, Spider-Man Dragon, said a point that I was about to make. I'm surprised Trump isn't saying deport the Palestinians to El Salvador, but that means they'd be closer to our border. Yeah, I mean, it's possible that at the end they're just like, who wants them? We're going to pay you, right? Why did El Salvador take the Venezuelans that we sent over there? We gave them $6 million. So if Israel or America, and by the way, Israel's not going to give them any money. They're going to make America give them money to relocate the Palestinians, right? So if they go to a super poor country that might be in the middle of a civil war and go, hey, we'll pay, not by the way, not the country, but whoever the dictator or whoever's running the country, some giant amount of money, it doesn't matter, it's gonna come from American taxpayers anyway, to take in all these people, put them in a prison, put them in camps, put them in tents, who cares? The whole point is ethnic cleansing and genocide anyway. And by the way, if you don't think removing over 2 million people from their homes and driving them to another country is ethnic cleansing, you literally don't understand the meaning of words. You don't speak the English language. That is the textbook definition of ethnic cleansing. So Trump blithely it's like, yeah, maybe we should move them out. And then and who? No, you're driving them from their land. You're joking around about a war crime, but whatever. Like, I get it. Trump's an idiot, doesn't know anything, doesn't care. He's just like, me want Adelson money. Yeah, right? I get it. He's super lowbrow. And I look, some of his followers hate what he's doing. A lot of his followers are like, oh yeah, Trump said it, then I'm okay, forget freedom, forget anything, forget America first. We now serve Israel, et cetera, et cetera. And so, in terms of other rumors I've heard that Turkey might consider it. These are epic disasters. And look, that's just a rumor, so take it for whatever it's worth, right? But what's not a rumor is what Axios is reporting. Several countries, 3 countries approached and considering helping Israel do an ethnic cleansing of Gaza. And why? Why they just want to clear out Gaza, get some fresh air? No. What did we tell you? Their plan all along is greater Israel. And we didn't come up with that because it's a conspiracy theory or we're some sort of geniuses. They say it all the time. Cabinet members in Israel. Smotrich gave another speech about it recently. They're like, yeah, why don't we just slaughter them and we'll use the hostages as an excuse. Oh, well, they didn't give the hostages back. And so we'll then ship the 2 million out and we'll take Gaza and we'll move our settlers in. And right now, one of the things they want to do is push all of them into a quote unquote humanitarian zone because it's 1984. So if you're going to do genocide and ethnic cleansing, you call it a humanitarian zone. Push 2 million people into a tiny space so that it's easier to ship them out. I mean, in the old days it was trains, now it's planes. So this is a sick genocide of the Palestinian people, and the Israeli cabinet is saying it out loud, let alone what Mossad is doing behind the scenes. I'm super curious if any supporter of Israel is ever going to turn around and go, oh, I called you anti-Semitic and I said it was this and I said it was that, and now they're actually doing exactly what you said. I was wrong, I'm against it, I want to help. Is that going to happen? I mean, we always talk about how Trump guys are cult. Are any Trump guys ever going to turn around? Ha ha ha, what a cult. Are any Israeli supporters ever going to turn around? I'm not talking about Jewish Americans. Those Jewish Americans are already against this. I'm talking about people defending Israel to this day, in the middle of one of the worst slaughters we have ever seen in our lifetime. Over 50,000 butchered at a minimum, over 15,000 children massacred. And still, that could be human shields. You're still doing propaganda over this? You're still gonna do propaganda over this when they're announcing, yes, we are planning to steal the land. That was the point all along. By the way, I don't believe for a second that they didn't know that October 7th was gonna happen. Besides which, we literally know that they knew. Israeli press has reported that they knew. Oh, golly gee, the best intelligence agency in the world that did that beeper thing. Oh, they just snuck by us. No, and if you really love Israel, understand what these monsters in that government did. Not only to the Palestinians, but to your own people. And you think, and that's what drives me crazy about Israeli supporters. I get why, because of the trauma of the past, et cetera. And they think, no, we got to protect our own, and we're the victims. We're always, and okay, and they have been the victims in the past. But guys, snap out of it, because this whole idea of no matter who's in charge of Israel, no matter how right-wing they are, no matter how monstrous they are, no, they're pure as the driven stone. I'll defend them. I'll defend them. I'll defend them. Because Israel is the one country that cannot have a bad leader. Everything is moral. It cannot. They're the one country in the world that cannot have a government that ever makes bad decisions or immoral decisions. They're the one holy, moral country. You have to be really detached from reality to believe that, especially in the middle of now their announced, planned genocide and ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, you mentioned this is all very sick, and one thing that struck me as being very sick is that Donald Trump is saying in that clip we showed earlier that we're going to take them away from this place where they're not getting stabbed and shot. And meanwhile, you pointed out the person or the people stabbing and shooting them were, Netanyahu, the murderer is sitting right next to him, and he's saying we're going to take him away. It's like saying we're going to move the victims out of the neighborhood so this guy will stop killing them. And this guy's just sitting there smiling about it. And I'm going, what a sick and twisted reality. They're saying we need to get you away for safety from this guy who's sitting right next to me. We just want, and he's just smiling and going, yeah. I mean, the pretense of it all is just so sick. And not to mention the fact that the world, the Western world right now is taking in a lot of refugees from wars, whether it was Syria or Ukraine or wherever. And then you have these, you have the pushback from the right in many countries, whether it's America or Germany or wherever in Europe, saying, we don't want any more migrants. We don't want any migrants. Well, then stop supporting wars and work on stopping wars. Stop going at the UN Council and voting against a ceasefire. Stop that. If you don't want migrants coming to you, if you don't want refugees fleeing their land and coming to your country, then stop it. Then do something about it. Stand on some moral ground. And they don't. And then the other thing I will point out is that, during the election, a lot of Palestinians and a lot of pro-Palestinians voted for Donald Trump because they thought that he's going to do something better for them. And I was always saying, whether it's Trump or it's Biden, it's Democrat or Republican, the policy is the policy. And the policy is to support Israel blindly. And to your point, I think that if you love Israel or if you love your own country, you should be able to criticize their leadership for their policies. That's part of being a Western democracy. And the final thing I will say is, once again, observing countries like Iran that are an Islamic totalitarian state, anytime you put religion into the game and you have people in Israel, like you said, Smotrich, the far right people who believe that, they start talking about God and how it's their right and all that other stuff. That's where I think you end up with a society where it's harder to criticize that leadership because they always defer to the idea that God wanted this is God. And by the way, one final thing, we are seeing our own country move in that direction when you have people on the right saying that Donald Trump was God bringing him to us, and we're going to have to go further and further to the right. So there's a lot of repercussions to all of this, and it is just unbelievable that these discussions are being had and that America is standing by and just doing same old. I mean, that's just been what it is.
Yeah. So last thing is, I promised, who can stop them? And that is not a long list. Okay. I'm not sure it's really anyone. But I'll tell you who can't stop them real quick. The world. What are they going to do? Like attack Israel? No, then America will attack them. So nobody can do anything about that, right? I mean, they could start a giant war. I'll get to that in a second. But certainly Europe's not going to do anything. Most of their governments are captured by Israel. And even if they weren't, what are they going to do? There's literally nothing they could do. China's not going to do anything. Russia's not going to do anything. The world's not the answer. Our politicians are 90% corrupt. They almost all work for Israel, take AIPAC money. The largest donor for half the politicians in America are AIPAC. So they're totally corrupt and gone. At the left, nobody ever listens to the left. So I wish one day, but not today. So who's left? Look, one group is Jewish Americans. So I'm not putting it on them like people do when there's like some fundamentalist Muslim does a bombing, a terrorist attack, and then all Muslims are responsible and you all have to apologize. No. Jewish Americans are not responsible. They don't have to apologize, et cetera, et cetera. But do they have collective power that can make a difference for good? I think they do. And I hope that they begin to realize this is not helping anyone. It's not helping the Jewish community. It's not helping Israel. We got to get him out of this fight. Israel's basically like a 280-pound guy got into a bar fight. And you don't look as a friend, and you want to say, and Jewish Americans are not Israelis, they're Americans. But as a friend, you want to say, okay, I support my brother in the fight. But now, no matter who started and where it was, he's got a 120-pound guy underneath him, and he's just bashing the living crap out of him, and he's about to die. That's when a friend comes in and stops the guy, right? That doesn't encourage him and enable him and go, oh, go get him, you're the victim. You're the victim, keep pounding him. No, don't do that. So I have faith that can happen. So I hope that something snaps in a way that's positive and leads in that direction. But the only other group that can make a difference, and maybe more realistic, because Jewish Americans are still a small group overall, is the right wing. So again, the right wing's not fully responsible. Nobody's fully responsible, but I'm talking about people who can make a difference. So why? If they turn on Israel, there's some percentage chance that Trump will listen to his base. And that's not a guarantee at all, because he is not listening to his base when they want him to cut defense and they want him to do all these things. Instead, he's just giving corporations more subsidies, more giveaways, more tax cuts, etc. But on some things, when his base is angry enough, he turns around. Now, they could do that at some point when they get mad enough, but I haven't seen it yet. But we're at the beginning of his term. Or the disaster scenario where they're starting to put people on trains and planes and they're shackling them and just they've put them in the veiled pen of the so-called humanitarian zone and people are being butchered, etc. And what? The Muslim world just erupts. It goes, I can't. I'm not going to let you. I mean, this is now getting to a point where are we past genocide? Are we at the next word? What is this? And so the populations of Egypt, Jordan, and all the neighboring countries can just go, that's it. That's it. If you're not attacking Israel, we're attacking you. And if you think, I'm not encouraging it, I think that's a disaster, epic disaster. But if you think, no, people will know that they are defeated, and all Muslims across the world will say, of course, Israel is our Lord and Savior, and they can oppress, humiliate, destroy, kill, and ethnically cleanse all of us, and we will never ever fight back, because then we will be called terrorists by American media. Yeah, you can call them all you want, but at some point, human beings snap. So we might have the biggest bloody mess you've ever seen in your life in Gaza. And Trump in the beginning will say, keep shipping them out. You send me money and you destroy and kill and move out any Palestinians you like. And maybe, just maybe, in those kind of disaster scenarios, even the right wing goes, why? Why did we get ourselves in the middle of a giant conflict? And we have to pay for it when you ran on anti-war. Now, a lot of you will say, yeah, I don't believe that Trump voters were ever anti-war. I think they're giant liars about everything. I disagree. Whether they hold Trump accountable is a different question, and we're all going to find out.